Hi everyone, my name is Courtney. I am Fiber Fox Studios. Welcome to a Tales from the Tiny House sweater edition. We're going to go over a few different crochet sweaters that I made, Mosaic of course. We're going to focus on cardigans today because that is what I ended up making with all of mine. That's kind of my preferred, I love cardigans. If you've been around a while, you may already know that about me, that I am a big cardigan fan. And it's my go-to outfit, tank top and cardigan. I'm very fashionable for, old lady. But we are going to talk about the different construction techniques that I used. They are existing, normal, run-of-the-mill construction techniques that maybe you have never thought of using for a mosaic. Not everything requires increases and decreases. And that's what we want to focus on, is not having to do increase and decrease. We want just something that you can grab a pattern from my catalog here on YouTube and pick something that you really like and then jump right into making your own sweater, cardigan, whatever. So we're going to go over those right now. And for those of you who have been around since the beginning, this is where we all started. This is the wood wall behind me. I've changed it quite a bit over the years, but this is where the very first ever podcast style video was ever filmed, sitting right here in this very chair with that wood wall behind me. So full circle, we've come right back around to where we started. I'm going to begin with what I think is the easiest one. I'm going to do my best to walk you through the construction and to show as much of it on camera as possible. The purpose of this right here is to figure out which construction technique you all are most interested in and if we actually need to do any type of tutorial on it. So while you're watching this and listening to what I say and thinking about what you want to do, keep in mind that I want to hear down in the comments from you on which construction style you actually would need a tutorial on. Absolutely do not need a tutorial. You can let me know. Like, this one is so simple and straightforward, I don't need a tutorial, but this one I do. That's what we're trying to figure out here with this video, is which one, if any of them, actually needs to become some sort of tutorial on the channel. So if you could keep that in mind while you're watching and then let me know if you need that, I would really appreciate it. I do kind of want some more feedback to kind of get an idea of what direction to move in before I just spend a lot of time and no one's interested. I haven't invented any of these construction techniques. So a lot of you longtime crocheters, if you've ever made a garment at all, you're going to recognize the construction techniques. There's only so many ways that you can make something. At some point, there is no other construction ways that you could discover. It just is what it is. So I've taken what I believe is the most standard, most widely used construction techniques, and I'm just using them with the mosaic. And these are ones that you will see the same type of construction done on just regular crochet, like half double crochet or linen stitch, whatever, stitches they're using, even lace work stitches. You will probably recognize some of these because this is, like I said, it's only so many ways you can do it. To answer the question, can we do mosaics in garments without increases? Yes, we can. This one right here, I'm going to show you half of the sweater. So this is the half where I've dealt with the tail, all the tails except for here at the bottom, because I'm actually going to leave those as fringe. So now keep in mind, pay attention. There's tails here. So what is our clue? How did we do this? How did we make this and end up with tails here? I will show you. Mystery solved. Wait, wrong one. This is my third take on this video, and I cannot get this right. So we're going with this one, whatever way this all ends up. That's just what it's going to be. So, mystery solved. This one starts here at the sleeve. You begin with your sleeve measurement, whatever you want. If you want it to be loose, then you do bigger than what your arm actually measures. If you want it to be very tight and form-fitting, then you're going to be exact or a little bit smaller on your starting chain. But you're going to select a pattern using my head as an extra hand. Select your pattern and begin at your sleeve. Let's back it up. We are starting down here. That's why we have the tails. And I did Flower Power, which is number 60. There is a tutorial on the channel for it. I'm using size 4 yarn. This is Caron Crystal Cakes. I don't remember the colorways. I know one of them, I believe, is Amethyst. I think the other one is something cool. I can't remember. I have it written down somewhere. I'll put that down in the comments or in the description on this video. But we begin here. The number of repeats tall that you go makes the length of your sleeve. So on this one in particular, with the way this lays, I did 3 repeats tall, 4 repeats wide. So the 4 wide gave me the width of the sleeve. When it's joined and seamed, then it makes your sleeve, obviously. The repeats tall is how it made its total length. And in this yarn, with this pattern, 3 repeats tall means I'm having a 3/4 length sleeve on the finished garment when it's on my body. From there, after you make your sleeve, on your last row, you don't clip your yarn, you actually chain out on each side in the pattern's multiple +1. And then we clip our yarn. We come over to our starting side, whatever. So if you're left or right hand, it doesn't matter. Whatever side you start on, that's where you're going to have to join on the yarn again. And you're going to chain out in the pattern's multiple +1. You do not chain in your multiple and do the complete 4 stitches again. Most of my patterns are +4. There's a few +3s and there is a few or at least one +5 stitches. You do not do that on this one. You do not add those extra. You've already done that when you start out here. So when we start our sleeve, we are following the pattern's multiple exact. So in this case, for this particular one, this pattern is a multiple of 12, so I'm going to speak about a multiple of 12. Switch that number out to whatever pattern you choose when you're making something like this. So 12 +4 pattern, I chained out 12 4 times and then added 4 chains onto the end. That way we have our turning chain to start row 1, and then we have our traditional single crochet at the start of the row, our traditional single crochet at the end of the row, and then on this pattern, because it's a +4, we have 1 additional stitch needed at the end of your row that you restart your repeat for 1 stitch. That deal, when I do that in my tutorial, you have that accounted for on your sleeve. So when we move past our sleeve and we are actually adding the front and back panel directly on, we do not have to add 4 stitches again because we're working this as one continuous piece. We already have done that here. So when you add to each side to make the rest of your sweater, you only do the pattern's multiple +1. That +1, you are going to literally use that extra stitch to cinch it down, tighten it down, and make a knot at the end of your row. That +1 becomes your bind off at the end of the row where you're knotting. So that way when you add on your chain to each side to begin working your pattern again, you are going to be able to pick right back up on the repeat and work from there just like normal. And what essentially happens when we get this set up and bring out our sides, when we're passing back through our traditional single crochet here at the end of the row, in the start of the row, And that evening out stitch, that extra stitch we always have to even the pattern, we essentially are moving those without doing anything. We will now do those at the end of our new end, new start of the pattern, new row start, new row end, and it will just pick back up. So those stitches during the sleeve part, when you're passing back through, you're going to work them, whatever part they fall on the repeat, you're just working them like normal. The first time around is obviously a little bit tricky because you're having to work into that traditional single crochet and you weren't anticipating that when you start out. Normally that wouldn't happen. You would only do a traditional single crochet in the same space as the traditional single crochet. But in this case, you will just absorb it into the pattern and keep working. And then it becomes this panel worked out, and when we fold it, to seam it up, we have our half of our sweater. We will handle all of our ends and seam along this underside of our sleeve and down our side. Because of the length of my sleeve and the length of my panels, I wanted a bigger one, kind of more a kimono or Ruana style cardigan. I made it longer. I made it a little bit bigger, so it is a really comfy, cozy piece. And I made my sleeves a little bit longer. You could do this for summer wear by just making a short sleeve, doing one repeat of whatever design you choose as your sleeve, and then working your panels and doing it in some cotton yarn. You don't have to go super long like I did. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, there you go. So you don't have to make them as long as I did. You could do shorter. You could have it hit at your natural waist, like the current sweater I'm wearing does. Or you could do a cropped style with this. Picking any pattern that you want. Just keep in mind, you follow the exact pattern multiple exactly as I give it in the video to start your sleeve. And then when you go to expand out to make the body and back and front panel, you are only going to chain in the patterns multiple plus one. And that's going to be universal. Every pattern will need to be worked the same way at that point. If that does not make sense, if you're just not grasping that concept, please let me know down in the comments. The more questions you can ask and kind of tell me what is not clicking for you, that helps me decide like what type of video I could do to help you. If I need a full tutorial, or if I could just do a little short video to answer those questions and kind of give you a visual representation of whatever technique I'm showing. So be as detailed as you can when you have questions. Ask all the questions you can think of. It does help me out with figuring out where we need to go and what level we need to be at in the explanation. A very experienced person will look at this and say, oh, I can do it. And someone who is less experienced will just be intimidated, not realizing you could definitely do this too. It is really that easy, I promise. So I try to very much pick things that are going to be universally easy to explain, or something that I think universally people will be able to understand. And making your sleeve and then working out from there means that you do not have to worry about increases. You can customize it as much as you want. You can have a relaxed fit, you can have a tight fit, you can have a long sweater, you can have a short sweater. It is very easy to do all of that using just this one simple construction technique for a sweater. It's one technique that you can use so many different ways and create different looks, and works up pretty fast, especially in this size 4 yarn. I used a 5.5 millimeter hook. It gives me nice drape and movement with my piece. And I really like how this has turned out. The only reason why it's not together with both of its panels is because I've been saving it in case I needed to teach it. That is all. If I need to do a tutorial on this, I wanted to have a piece that I could show the seaming on without having to recreate an entire garment again from start to finish. I can show y'all how to start, get y'all to the point where we build out and pick up on our repeat. And then from there, I could stop and then go back to this and show how we finish out with our finishing and seaming everything up. So that's why I have it in 2 pieces. Hopefully this is making sense. If it's not though, please feel free. Ask all the questions you need to. And if it's really complicated, I'm just going to do a video. Like if you have a lot of questions, I will probably just do a video. So that is our first construction technique that I wanted to share. The next one, I have two examples. I'm going to bring this down. So this is a sweater that I finished last year. Before winter, I actually had this done. It wasn't even cold when I was working on this. So this particular one is worked in one piece. And it's another situation where we build out and then we will be folding and seaming it up. So, and you don't have a lot of extra seams. There's no sleeve seam, which is what I love the most. I really do not like seeing the seam like really boldly on an item where like you're joining your sleeve to the body. If that is not able to be hidden, I don't like it. That's just because I have fat arms. That's what it all boils down to. I don't want to accentuate certain features that I don't like. And I feel like with a really heavy looking joint, it just makes my arms look fatter. and please don't take it. I love myself. I'm you know, granny arms and all, but I just don't particularly want to highlight those. But hopefully you can see there is absolutely no seam at all on the sleeve, not on the top, none of that. And we work from the back. You actually start back here at the section that is just under your shoulder blades to your armpit area, if that makes any sense. I'm going to sit down so I'm not so creepy leaning into the camera. This pattern down here is my pattern number 27. I worked chart 1, chart 2, and chart 3 from that chart set. So that's one of the chart sets that has 3 total design variations included in the chart set. So there's 3 different diamonds all in that one chart set. I have a tutorial, I believe, for chart 1, but there's definitely a tutorial for pattern number 27, these diamonds. There is a tutorial for one of the charts from the set. I believe it's chart 1, but the tutorial tells you in the description and I believe in the title. Either way, I just use that pattern to create the bottom. So we start here, we move up, creating our entire back panel and our sleeves. And we're making our shoulder and front panel section. And we make all of that in one piece. And then we can join on from there. Because once it's folded, we have a perfect little cardigan shape. Once it's folded and seamed up, we can then add our additional pattern. So in this case, I did solid up top. And then I added the mosaic at the bottom. This is the same exact construction technique, only I am starting with a full mosaic. So I'm doing mosaic at the top, and I'll be doing a mosaic at the bottom. So let's look at this, because I have this one on the go. I'm working on it. Well, I haven't been working on it, but I'll get back to it. I have it partially completed, and it's at this stage that I wanted to show, because I feel this might help you guys understand the construction better if you see it in the kind of work in progress state. If I'm totally wrong about this, please let me know. If this makes it really confusing for me to show this and then show the construction and how you can change this up, if I'm just blowing your mind, causing confusion, please let me know so I can try to fix it and help. But we begin on this one. Let me get it straight. This right here is where we begin. So what this represents is chain in the patterns multiple exactly as it is. Particular pattern, I do have a tutorial for it. I believe it's in the 50s, 55. I want to say it's pattern 55. I could be wrong. I will make sure I link it down below. But the pattern's multiple. You just follow that exact. And what we're making to start out with is essentially what is going to be on our back, right underneath our shoulder blades, coming to our armpit area. Courtney with her bad camera angles. If you're new here, this is normal. Like, this is 4 years of this type of stuff. Some people never learn. Some people never get any better at it. I am some people. So we start here. Then we build out from here, creating our sleeve. So again, we're doing the same thing where we're chaining out to make our sleeve on each side. And then we begin to work one. We're going to work all the way across for a little while. And then we're going to get to the point where we have built out. This is essentially the back side of my sleeve. So back and underarm, half of a sleeve. And we go all the way across. And then once we get half of our sleeve done, when we're working straight across, we begin to build up the rest of that side. So now what you're seeing is the rest of my sleeve, plus I'm creating front panel, and then the rest of the front panel. And this is where we end with this little section right here. So let me try to hold it where y'all can see it all in one shot. And I've got yarn attached because I'm working on it. I'm going to try to use my head. Hopefully you can see with this wonderful, wonderful display that I'm doing. So we start here, we move to here, and then we move on to here. And we end with this little section here. And when this is folded, and our yarn isn't still attached, causing knots and tangles, sorry. Let's see. Ta-da! When it's folded, we have it meeting up perfectly. So there's my sleeve, front and back. Here's the front. And then we come down, and when I finish this, that last little bit where you see the space, those are the rows I'm missing. I think I have about 6 or 7 rows here before this is actually going to meet up. But this little front panel piece that I am currently working on, it will meet up with this back panel and be even here at the bottom. So when it's folded, we have the entire top section of our sweater. From here, once I finish this side over here, I will be able to build on to the rest of this and create. I'm going to use another pattern. In this case, I do want a second pattern coming in. So after I seam this up, make the whole entire complete top, I will then work another pattern to create my total length. I could stop here and have a cropped sweater. So keep that in mind. You don't have to keep going with them. This would make a really cute cropped sweater. And if I like how it looks when I get it all together, then I might not add anything to it. I might have to make another one to do that, to add on. We'll see. I haven't made up my mind yet. But switching out to cotton yarn, other lightweight linen yarn, something like that, you could definitely do shorter sleeves. You could make a summer garment all day. It could be summer. It really just depends on your yarn choice. And then the length of your sleeves, the length of the garment itself. With something like this, you could go down and make a duster. Like you could have it go past your knees if you wanted to. It's really up to you. It doesn't help to, once we get this established, is this up here is the hardest part, but I promise it's really not that hard. But this is the hardest part of it, is actually creating the top. Once we get this done, from here, you are just able to just go and go and go. And you can make it as long or short as you wanted. So you could actually make a full winter coat from this technique if you truly wanted to. And have it all be mosaic. It is possible to do that. There is a lot more that you can do with mosaic that doesn't require any increases at all. Like there's plenty out there that you can do besides blankets and table runners and little rugs and stuff like that. Like there's all kinds of garments, purses, just so many things that you can make. If you can crochet it, you can make it in Mosaic. I don't know how else to explain that to y'all. Really and truly. The only place it gets tricky is when you have to do increases and decreases, like with a top-down full sweater, which we'll get to in a moment. I'm going to show y'all my epic fail of one. So we have this. Got to do this side over here, and this is the same exact construction technique that we used on this sweater back here. Same exact one. I'm just doing, instead of a solid, I did half double crochets for this part on this first one. Instead of doing it solid in regular crochet stitches, I'm doing it a full complete mosaic on the second one. So same construction technique, and I'm going to have two completely different looks. So it is very versatile. It's for those of you who sell things, like, this is a great way to make some extra money. Like, you can come up with a size chart, like you can find a size chart out there and follow those guidelines and make them in different sizes, and just kind of following the whole concept of you're just either chaining less or chaining more to change the size. You're doing less rows or more rows to change the size. Creating these panels and folding them and making the sweater. Very, very easy and simple to do. I promise it's not as hard as it looks. Now, we're going to move on to the last one, which is my epic failure. This one was a fun one. I was writing it all down. I was going to do a top-down sweater. I was going to release it in the winter. I started working on this. I can't even tell you how many hours into it. I know I've tracked it and I have it on the pattern. How many hours and hours I worked on this thing, writing down every single step, because this type requires increases in it, and it makes it where it's not a swap out the pattern type situation. So this is one that I don't ever plan on teaching anything like this on the channel. I know they say never, so I'm not saying never, but I'm saying I have zero plans, because this was awful to get this far, and you can see what it's looking like here. The reason why I call it epic failure, I began to bring in, I was freehanding first of all. I have not really gotten the hang of charting out things that involve increases in them. I have tried, and each time I try and then I try to work it, it doesn't turn out like what I'm thinking it should. So I'm clearly not doing something right with the chart. That makes it hard to design it and get everything perfect beforehand before I start crocheting. So I am doing what I've always done, and long before I even had the channel, is I do a lot of freehand. So I am creating the pattern up as I work. And in this case, I was writing it down because I was thinking I was going to be able to release this. But then I was trying it on as I went, and I tried it on when there was just a little bit past the collar area done, and I liked it. And I was like, oh, this is turning out so good. I love it, I love it, I love it. And then I kept going, and I started bringing in folia. I don't know if there's enough of it for you to see, but this is my leaf pattern folia. I started to bring in those leaves, and I was going to have those there, and I was going to continue this on down. Yeah. Then I put it on, which I will do for you now. And all I could see was court jester. I went in there, put this thing on. I had a tank top on, like a dark blue tank top or something. Put this on because I was like trying to envision what it was going to end up looking like. And I put it on, and all I could see was court jester. That was all I could see. And I'm like, this is hideous. So I quit with it. I got so disgusted. I don't feel like I can save it. It's this right here. I am not liking these at all. I don't like this. Like, what was I thinking? For real, what was I thinking? It doesn't look, it's not even a color thing. Because I was like, maybe it's the color. Maybe, you know, but no, it's really not. I just don't like the way this is looking. I feel like it makes me look like a fat court jester. I really do. So weigh in the comments. Do I look like a fat court jester? Oh my goodness. Some people really hate my laugh, so I should probably stop doing it, but I can't help it. It makes it worse. I'm going to get some hateful comments, I'm sure, but yeah, this is just hideous. There's nothing that's going to make me like this. It could be blue and greens, like especially blues. Blues are my absolute favorite. Green being right there close second. Even if this was blues and greens, I would still hate it. It is that ugly to me. It's these. Awful. This was a lot of work to get to this point. And keep in mind, I was writing it all down. I was like typing it out as I went. So every single repeat that I created with the increase, I was writing that out. So I spent so much time on this. And then I hated it so much. So, moral of this story is if you're creating something, get up and try it on like every 4 rows. Because if I had realized what this was looking like if I had come in like here, you know, like 10 hours before I did, I would have seen what was going on and the vibe that it was giving. Because looking at it like this, like when I was working on it, I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. I mean, and if I was trying to do like one of those things that you put your head in to take a picture, I kind of look like a flower, you know, or maybe the sun. But when you put it on, I look like a court jester. It looks ugly. I never, ever, 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 ever have I made a sweater, like a mosaic sweater, like this, ever. I just haven't. And my first attempt is so bad at it, and it took so much time. I'm just still kind of salty about how bad I did. Now, if I wanted to put this on my table and put a bowl in the center and have this look like it was table decor, I would love it. But this is not something I would want to wear. I'm not saying I'll never try again, but yeah, this first attempt was pretty pathetic and not so great. I know someone's going to be like, oh, I love it. Look at it on me and tell me that I don't look like a jester, because I feel like I do. Like the Joker, the jester, like got the whole like collar thing on with the bells. Like that's just not the vibe I want. My husband said it was ugly, and he never says stuff like that. But I was like, tell me what you really think. Like, what do you think? And he was like, And I was like, do I look like a court jester? And he was like, yeah, that's what it is. So, yeah, I abandoned this 100%. Maybe I might continue on with it just to see how ugly I can really make it. And it can be an ugly sweater for myself to wear, you know, when I want to, like, remember that nothing is perfect and keep myself, like, very humble. Create something super ugly and then make myself wear it, like, in public. Won't get any compliments on that. But, yeah, I don't know. Not everything is a success. You know, no matter how long you've been crocheting, no matter how long you've been designing, we all suck sometimes. Hopefully you have enjoyed this walkthrough on the sweaters. Please make sure you tell me if there is a construction technique that you are most interested in. I do want to hear the feedback. That'll kind of give me an idea of what direction to go into with it, whether we need to do full tutorial or partial tutorial. Let me know your thoughts on that. If you just want a more detailed overhead view walkthrough of what to do to set up the pattern to get going on either of the construction techniques that I've showed. These are my favorite ones. Obviously there's other ones out there, but I do not like I don't want a bunch of pieces that I'm seaming together. I just don't. The look of that, lining it up, I could see where there's like a million things that could go wrong. I usually, whenever I've made any garment, and this is true even on the ones that I have tutorials for on the channel, like from when I very, very first started, and they are terrible, terrible tutorials, and I'm super annoying. I don't need to be told that again. So if you go watch it at your own risk. You're going to be irritated with me though. So I already know. But even on those, when I was putting the sleeve on, let's say, oftentimes stuff got off just a little, but because it was a regular crochet, not specific mosaic, it didn't matter. You could hide that. But with mosaic, if it doesn't line up right, it's going to throw off the whole pattern. So I love these all-in-one pieces, type construction methods for mosaic. And I do really feel if you've never done any type of mosaic garment, starting with the sleeve one is the best thing that you can do. It's going to be the most simple out of all of them. Now this technique, this is a little bit more in depth. This is one that I think that I might need to show. But if a lot of you are already familiar with this type of construction for a sweater, then you'll be able to just run with it and go. Just me showing that for some of you will be enough for you to be able to jump in and make your own. Others, I know y'all might need more instruction. And I guess we need to decide, are we going full mosaic on a tutorial, or do you want me to start with a mosaic on top? Or do you want me to start with something like this and do it solid? Either way, it's the same construction technique, relatively the same counts, although this one is governed by the patterns multiple. So your base count is going to come off of whatever, one you choose. If I were to teach this one, I would use the same pattern. So keep that in mind. If you would prefer me to show the technique with the solid, and then you can switch out the mosaic if you so choose later, let me know. I'm open to the feedback on that. I don't want to waste a lot of time for stuff that people are just going to fast forward through, because that doesn't do anything but hurt the channel, and I just feel super defeated, obviously. If the whole video gets fast forwarded through, I'm like, okay, well, I wasted all that time for nothing. They didn't need that. So if we don't need it, that's fine. I would rather people be really upfront and honest with me and say, I don't need you to teach that. I get the concept. Versus people saying, yes, do it, and no one actually is going to watch it. Let me know your thoughts. You guys that watch these, y'all are the ones that kind of dictate what I'm going to do by the comments that you give me and feedback that you give me. So I am open to hearing it. Doesn't mean I'll, follow exact and do everything I'm told, but I will at least hear what you have to say, and I like to hear what you have to say and your feedback, since you're the ones that matter. You're the ones watching. So I need to know, what do y'all want? Do you want something like this taught, or you're good just based off seeing what I did? I feel like I've forgotten a sweater, and there's a sweater hanging out there somewhere, probably in the closet, that I forgot to show. So, maybe I gave one away. Now that I think about it, I might have done that, because I started these a long time ago and just haven't gotten around to showing y'all. I delayed it on purpose, just being honest, because I just did. I don't really have an excuse. I wasn't ready to have to get into doing big old tutorials on stuff like this. So that's why. But please, please, please let me know your feedback down in the comments. If there is something you would like me to show more in detail and overhead video, more of a tutorial style, let me know. And if you have enjoyed this, please feel free to comment down below. Let me know what you are working on. Doesn't have to be my own pattern. It could be anything that you're working on. I love when y'all tell me what you're working on and the colors that you're using, or the yarn and your colorway that you're using. Because if I don't know the yarn or instantly know the color, I go and look that up. And that is a lot of fun for me to envision what you are doing with the patterns. And a lot of these, if y'all don't make them into something, I'll never know what they could be, what they'll look like. It's you guys that have the time to actually work them into the full designs. And while I am getting there and starting to focus more on crocheting for myself, I still have a lot of catch up to do. There's a lot of patterns that I designed for things I want to do in my home that are not done yet. So I love hearing from y'all about what you're using. I love seeing the pictures that you post. I do go and check on Instagram every single month. I check and see what all has been added. I love when y'all tag me and use the hashtag FiberFoxStudios on Instagram. That will actually make it so I believe a lot of people can just look at that hashtag and find all the different projects that have been done. And if you aren't aware of that, go check out Instagram. You'll see that people have been making sweaters purses and all kinds of things from these patterns this whole entire time. You really, really, truly can make anything that you want using a mosaic design. So hopefully that opens up a whole new world of crochet for you, and you're excited about making garments and sweaters. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. I do have lots of new and exciting things coming, so please stay tuned. I really, 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 really do appreciate your time, especially those of you who watched all the way to the end. Leave me a comment down below letting me know. And until next time, bye!